What's going on, Bottom Line viewers? It's Mitch here with Dilly Vanilli and Kevil. We are here to recap the Monday Night Football game between the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Cincinnati Bengals. A dirty football game, as Ben Roethlisberger explained it, AFC North football. Some people may have an issue with what he said there, but it was
Ben, I got things to say to you.
Interesting game nonetheless. The Steelers do take it. 23-20 with a game-winning field goal once again from Chris Boswell. This is becoming a theme. Steelers winning by field goals at the end of the game against teams that aren't really that good. We'll talk about that. You know how I feel about that. And we'll talk about what happened in this game. A lot of penalties, a lot of injuries, and another Bengals-Steelers game and another Bengals collapse. We'll talk about the Bengals and how they move on from here, because it seems like their playoff hopes are pretty much done now that they lost this game. Is Marvin Lewis going to stay around for next season? Is Andy Dalton still going to be their quarterback? Is it time for A.J. McCarron? A lot of questions that will be answered here on the recap, but we will also want to hear from you guys. Let us know in the live comments section what you guys thought about this game. Were you impressed with the Steelers win here? Did you think the Bengals let it go? Do you think the Steelers won it for Shazier? Obviously, we're all praying for Shazier, who seems to be have a really serious injury that could not only threaten his football career, but also his life to a certain degree, depending on how bad it is. So, yeah, prayers out to Shazier, but we want to hear your thoughts on the game and everything that went on, because there was definitely a lot to talk about, even though it was, probably one of the better games on Monday Night Football this year. It was also one of the worst games in a way for the product. So there's kind of a lot to talk about. Guys, what did you think of this game? Steelers, Bengals. Steelers take it 23-20.
This game's going to hurt the image of the NFL, especially. You look at this stuff that happened on the field. It was a dirty game. It's not a game I particularly enjoy. If it had just been what we saw on the field with no hits and the penalties gone away, this was an exciting game. You had two teams out there. The Bengals took it early. This is a rivalry that's been going on for a while with good games, good anticipation. The Steelers come back, good drives. Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell kick it in the second half. They do well. So you look at that and you're like, well, this turned out to be a pretty good game, 23-20, which, by the way, is the third straight game Chris Boswell had to end the game with a field goal to win it for them. And this is the second one, I believe, on the road. So that's actually second one on the road. So that's good. But all the cheap hits were damaging to the NFL. I absolutely hated some of these hits, especially the one in the end zone. That was just all of them. We'll get into more of that as we go. There was 239 penalty yards, which is five more yards than Andy Dalton passed for tonight. No discredit to Andy Dalton, just bringing up that amazing fact. And we'll get into it, but I thought it was a good game, but a damaging one as well.
I'm still processing what I just saw. It was dirty. I agree. It was heartbreaking because of what happened to Shazier. Mm-hmm. I guess depending on your perspective, it was karma for Burfict.
Even though I will point out that Burfict does seem to be okay. So
yeah. But this was also, I guess, in terms of the play on the field, the Bengals dominated the first half. Their offensive line was kind of controlling the game. Then they got 13 yards in the fourth quarter. I know that the Bengals fans on Twitter are all over two things. One, the officiating. The second one, I think, that's a valid one, I think. I think there's some validity to it. But the other one is Marvin Lewis is getting a lot of heat on Twitter. And it's hard to argue when you blew a 17-0 lead when you have a shot at the playoffs to beat a division rival at home. And it's hard to argue that. I messaged you guys and I said, with that touchdown, when Brown's touchdown, when they tied it, I was like, with that, Lewis's job was done in Cincinnati. And so I guess from the Steelers' perspective, I don't know what do you take from this? I mean, your first half was a god awful.
Oh, we'll talk about it. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah. Your second half, you found a way to get it done. You got a last-minute field goal, and I'm going to do the hot take now. And Dylan's going to find this ridiculous, especially when I say something else. I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to win a game in the playoffs. I don't think that they can beat the Jags. I don't think they can beat the Chargers.
Honestly, Kev, the way they're playing right now, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that it's absolutely ridiculous, like that they can't win a game, because I think they obviously can. Like, they're 10-2 and stuff, but I think that is a hot take. Like, because there is some actual validity to it, because I feel like you could actually see this team getting upset in the playoffs, the way that they have been playing down the stretch. If they continue to play this way, that even if they play, even if the AFC isn't strong, they already lost to the Jaguars. They could easily lose to the Jaguars. If a team like the Chargers gets on a run, they could easily upset them. Probably not the Titans, just because of the way that they got their ass kicked by the Steelers earlier this year. But I mean, there are a couple of teams there that, and certainly the Patriots, that could beat them. So I don't know.
The Ravens will be ready for them.
Ravens, that's a divisional team.
Yeah,
so
that's a division rival.
His next statement is why I thought that was blasphemous. That's why he said that.
Okay.
Say your next.
Okay. Hear me out, Mitch. My argument on this is because I actually would think that the Steelers' entire regular season is based on one game. It's Sunday Night Football against New England.
Kev, were you on the recap last time with the Steelers? Because I've been preaching this. I've been preaching this.
I think they're going to beat. I think that they're going to beat New England.
Okay.
In that game, because they have to win. Because if they feel that they have to go to New England, they don't have a chance
to win the other games.
They do have to win the other games, but their entire season and who they are is based on.
Are you saying that they're going to win, or that they have to win, or else, or both?
I think they're going to go balls to the walls to try to win that game, and I don't think the Patriots are going to go balls to the walls to it. I think I think for the Patriots, this game is a lot like what AC would argue the Eagles-Seahawks game was yesterday. Okay. It would be nice to have, but you don't necessarily need it, because you know that you can travel.
That game is in 2 weeks. They still play the Ravens, by the way. So
yeah,
the Patriots, like, they both played two divisional opponents before they play each other. So the Patriots have to play the Dolphins on Monday night, which technically is a short week, but and that game's in Miami. But that's a kind of an easier opponent. Plus, your second best player on your team kind of has a bye week, even though, we'll talk about that situation probably at one point in this video. That's probably an easy win in that game. The Steelers, they don't have the short week, but they have to deal with a physical game against the Bengals this week, and then another physical game against the Ravens. And the Ravens are playing their best football of the season, despite losing Jimmy Smith for the season. But that game's going to be tough too. So the Steelers are going to have to come off two tough divisional games. The Patriots and Buffalo game, although the Patriots dominated that game, was a tough game. This Miami one, I'm not quite sure, unless Sue kicks someone in the nuts or something. I'm not sure, but
never know.
You never know with him. But two divisional opponents, and I think that also we'll get into more of the Steelers and how we look at this game and how it really played out. But I feel like the way that the Patriots have played their divisional opponents this year, compared to the way the Steelers have, might give you a little bit of a answer in terms of the quality of the teams. But let's get into the statistics and kind of the rundown of this game. So the yardage for both teams was basically the same. Yardage, time of possession. The Steelers had one turnover in this game, which was a Ben Roethlisberger interception. But Pittsburgh had 374 yards. Cincinnati had 353. Time of possession, Pittsburgh 29 minutes, so almost 30 minutes, and Cincinnati 30 minutes. And then first downs, Pittsburgh had them by 5, 24-19. But very even game team-wise. Cincinnati came out, boom, boom, boom. They score 17. And I thought they could have scored more than that, to be honest with you. They were dominating the game. They're moving the ball. They're playing good defense. And then I was kind of like, when I was watching this, I was like, man, they're not putting this game away. Like, the Bengals need to put this game away because we know how they mess things up in the second half and how they take too many penalties and how the Steelers are able to come back, and give the Steelers credit for doing that this season. They've been really good at that in that regard, coming out in the second half and playing better football. And Cincinnati, although they were up 17-3 at half, I think that field goal was massive. Now, that field goal, this goes back to my argument. It wasn't just the Green Bay Packers. It wasn't just the Green Bay Packers. Last game, I talked about the Green Bay Packers not covering Antonio Brown. Okay, the Bengals did a better job because they have better corners. But in this game, 5 seconds left in the half, you have Antonio Brown one-on-one, and they need like 30-plus yards. I think they end up getting like 50 yards down the left sideline because you have Antonio Brown one-on-one with your corner who's playing press coverage for some reason. And, like, you're just asking for Ben to throw the ball that way. Mm-hmm. And then they get the free field goal. It's just ridiculous. Why would they not have 2 guys on Brown in that situation, especially with only 10 seconds left in the half when the team is out of field goal range? To me, that's boneheaded coaching, which would carry on into the second half. But that was the start of the downfall for the Cincinnati Bengals with the terrible play call there, and then Chris Boswell got the field goal. Do you guys have any reactions to we're going to split this game into 2 halves, so any reactions to the first half, and then we'll talk about the second half, but that was the main play that stuck out to me. Also, the first half, I saw a lot of dominance from A.J. Green with 2 touchdowns, but do you guys have any thoughts on the first half?
The first half, the Bengals went out there and played a good, competent half of football. They went out there and proved that this isn't a game that should be, tossed around for them. People have been putting them on the radar, under the radar. They're not looking like a great team. They want to win for their coach, who maybe season, you never know. This is a game that they wanted to win. It looked like in the first half, but then, like you said, that last play with the pass interference call 40 yards down the field on Brown, and just some really boneheaded plays. The fucking Le'Veon Bell touchdown in the third quarter too, where you could have easily tackled the man. I'm going to push him out of bounds. Didn't do that for a touchdown, which thank you for fantasy points, but I ultimately lost. I guess Kev's off for a minute. But the first half, it looked like the Bengals wanted a little bit more besides that one play, and in the second half, the collapse just started hindering them for the most part, and that's not very good.
Yeah, also in the first half, as Kev comes back on here, a lot of Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton had a really, really good first half. He was throwing accuracy was on point. His arm was on point. He was hitting all his targets. Of course, Steelers played a ton of zone coverage. Bengals were kind of able to use multiple formations. Gruden was kind of breaking it down the way that they were attacking the Steelers secondary. And it was all going well and dandy until kind of the end of that half. So, Kevil, are you back now? Are you able to discuss this first half?
Yeah, sorry. I had to switch because I was having some technical issues. So sorry, folks, but I'm back. There were quick hits, too. Dalton was quick hitting them. Their running game was great. Their offensive line was dominating in the first half. Second half, they decided to dress up the 1990s Bengals, apparently, and come out. And they just... I guess this is where we get into the debate. Was this more Bengals or more Steelers persevering? I think the field goal was a key point, but you're still up 17-3. You're still up 2 touchdowns.
I know. I'm just saying, like, that's one play in a list of long plays of just bonehead. Like, that touchdown, that shouldn't have been a touchdown. There was a couple of holding calls and pass interferences and stupid hits.
The officiating was terrible.
The officiating in this game, more than I would actually say to Bengals fans that you got partly screwed in this game. Now, the Bengals, at the end of the day, lost this game because of the way that they played at the end. But the refs did you no favors in this one. I mean, there are a lot of plays where it was like...
The touchdown. How in the world can we call that a holding penalty on Bernard? If we're calling that in live action, we're calling every holding penalty there has ever been in the history.
Dylan, you know what's funny though? Is that was just a missed block. Like, if you were, okay, think about this. If you're Bernard there, wouldn't you hold him a little bit better?
I don't understand understand how the referees are going to call that though. I know TJ Watt's not a huge man like on the defensive line front, but like all he's doing is like maybe guiding. He's a little bit off a point.
Hold someone, aren't you going to hold him and like grab him so he doesn't get?
Yeah, well, it looked like when he was doing it, he was kind of off to the side, like like pushing like this. He wasn't really getting any leverage on it. That's why I didn't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. It was there were some very debatable calls, but that group of officials, I don't think they're going to get very many, if any, playoff games. They throw the second most flags of any group in the league, apparently.
Yep.
And yeah, they were just bad, and they let the game get kind of out of hand. Like when you have Bengals Steelers, you need to have an officiating unit that is on top of their game. You need to have the best officiating unit, and this goes back to my point. I tweeted this earlier. Why do they have these games on primetime? Really, like, makes no sense.
Because of the Steelers.
I understand that, and I understand that these games are always close. But these games are close in a bad way. It almost always happens where the Bengals dominate the portion of the game. They're really dirty. They injure a Steelers player. Something happens. And then at the end of the game, the Bengals implode. The Steelers come back, and the Steelers win, mostly because of what the Bengals did poorly. That's mostly how these games go. And talking about Marvin Lewis, I think Marvin Lewis is not a bad coach. I don't think he's a great coach. I actually think he's a good coach. But I think that there's been a lot that's happened, and especially in the discipline front over these past few years, where he shouldn't have his job. I thought he should have lost his job after that wild card game in 2015. He should have lost his job there. Now, people could argue it should have been before. It should have been after, of course. But that moment in that 2015 playoff game where they absolutely just let the Steelers win that game, where they had the stupid perfect plays and the stupid situation at the end of the game, where they easily could have won that game and advanced to play the Broncos. Instead, the Steelers hobbled in to play the Broncos. That's where I thought Marvin Lewis should have lost his job. Because I don't think Marvin Lewis is schematically a bad coach. He always puts good football teams on the field. But when it comes to getting it done when he really needs to, or when it comes to discipline, he always seems to fail in that department.
Well, okay, first off, look how many rules we've had implemented in the game from the last 11 years because of this rivalry. They brought up the Hines Ward thing in 08 with when he, everything. The Brown hit 2 years ago, which gave him concussion because of Burfitt. It's ridiculous. We shouldn't be having this in the league. And Marvin Lewis, I just don't think has this team disciplined, especially when we've seen in the last 2 years. I would have fired him a long time ago if I was a general manager. I mean, he's been there for 15 years, and how many playoff wins has he had? And even if you're rebuilding to a franchise, I think 3 years ago should have been the cutting time, but whatever. I think he'll be fired at the end of the year anyways. It's just not a game I want to see. Like, I understand hard contact, right? I'm not here to discredit whether hard hits should be in the NFL. Because Sean Taylor's hit in the Pro Bowl on the punter is one of my favorite hits of all time. Okay, I
love hits, but like I don't like dirty hits.
Yeah, I like legal hits where you're like there's a nice impact.
And
with the
okay, guys, it's time to address it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Patriots fan, okay? I was at the game in Buffalo. I saw the play.
We're gonna address this.
Okay. He should have been suspended. All right. Now I thought it was kind of surprising that he was suspended because he never had any offenses before that. So I thought that there was a chance that he would go unscathed and kind of just get fined. But I thought it was the right call for him to get suspended specifically because the play was after the play was over. Mm-hmm. That's the part of it that I didn't like the most, was that the play was over and something happened. Yes, Gronk gets 100%. Patriots fans, 100%. I totally agree. Gronk gets screwed week in and week out with terrible officiating on his part. That was definitely pass interference. But that doesn't mean that Gronk goes out of his way, especially after having time to think about it, seeing the guy on the ground, turning around, and it almost kind of reminded me of like him probably getting in a fight with his brothers and then being like, you know,
giving him concussions.
Do I do this? Do I punch him in the face or do I not? And he still punches him in the face. Like, he had that time to like recover, but he didn't, and he still did it. So obviously he knows it was wrong. He apologized, all that stuff, but he deserves to be suspended. And that's coming now. That's right before all this stuff happened. Oh, it's just, I think it's time to talk about this Juju Smith.
He's going to get suspended because not only did he lay down the big hit, which, by the way, you know, the hit itself was if you lowered it, like you said, wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But then he taunted him afterwards. He stared right at
That's the problem. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
why he'll get suspended. Because the hit honestly wasn't that bad. Like,
nasty,
he was
almost legal.
He hit him in the head, but like he didn't really mean to. You know, like he should have just lowered his shoulder and kind of gotten lower and hit him, and it would have been fine. Mm-hmm. But the problem with the play was that he stood over him while a guy was concussed, hurt on the ground. That's why he should get suspended. He should get suspended, but I don't know if he will. We'll see.
No, and that's why I feel like Gronk got suspended this time around, because the concussion is a white guy concussed. So that's why I think he got suspended. But
yeah, Gronk. I don't think we're going to argue about Gronk getting suspended. I think that's the right call. And if that was Jimmy Graham on Jalen Mills last night, I would say the same thing. He needs to be suspended for that. But Schuster, yeah, the hit was, it's not the hit, it was like what he did after that. He just stood over them and can we address this AFC North football bullshit from
the comments?
This
I do want to say this before you do that. I just want to say the comment section. We'll get to the comments after we're done the recap because like it's just easier that way. Kevin, go ahead.
Ben is, I'm sorry, Steeler fans. Ben is, Ben gets away with a lot of stuff, but this is not AFC North football. That's cheap shot, dirty football. That's like
that's what he's referring to. I think.
I don't think he should have been saying
it. Is no, he shouldn't have said that. Like, I feel like that was like to try and defend what he said. Like, it wasn't that terrible, but like saying that, I think, was just his quick answer to get rid of that question.
Because Salters was like,
yeah, this is basically what he was saying. It was like, yeah, that happens all the time.
Because she asked the question and then he says that answer and she's like, is that it? Is that what you're going to respond to it? Oh, okay. Like, AFC North football.
Yeah, it's just.
I think he wants all those hits because then he'll be like, oh, my neck is hurting. Oh,
or maybe, my shoulders hurt and I might retire, everybody. Look out for me. I'm going to cry.
I don't think I got it anymore.
I don't know if I got it anymore. They took out my spirit.
All right.
Yeah.
Speaking of Big Ben, should we get to the stats?
Let's get to the stats.
Yes.
Real quick, I'll just go through the leaders. Big Ben, 24 for 40, 290, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, sacked once, had an 88.5 passer rating. Overall, poor first half, was missing a lot of receivers. Second half, he regained form and definitely came in clutch. He was on the money. And again, I'll say it once again, when he's not throwing to Brown, it looks kind of awkward. But nonetheless, he got it done. And he's been playing better as of late, for sure. Andy Dalton, 21 for 36, 234, 2 touchdowns, sacked twice, 96.3 rating. So numbers-wise, Dalton played a better game. But you could argue that Ben might have edged him out because of the end of the game, because of the comeback. Andy Dalton did have that play at the end where he kind of ran into the sack. The offensive line this season hasn't done him any favors. I thought Andy Dalton did have a really good first half, but the second half, you just need to make a couple more plays. And it obviously hurts. It's hurt a lot this season that they haven't had Tyler Eifert because John Ross hasn't really worked out this season.
Not at all.
Not going to call him a bust quite yet, but it hasn't worked out right now.
Yeah.
He didn't even have a target.
Tyler
didn't even play.
he didn't play. Tyler Boyd.
He's had one catch this year.
Yeah, Tyler Boyd has been a bust. Brandon LaFell dropped a couple passes. All they really have is AJ Green and their running backs. So it's hard. And for everyone knows who Andy Dalton is. Andy Dalton is a guy that's built on a system. He's built on the players around him. He's not a player that's going to necessarily carry a team. We know that. Okay. I think Andy Dalton is a mediocre quarterback, and he just is who he is at some point. You just can't expect a guy that is Andy Dalton, that we know and we've seen what he is, to go out there and carry a team. So, Andy Dalton played pretty good, but in the end didn't make a couple of plays. And for the runners, Giovanni Bernard, of course, took the place of Joe Mixon, who got injured but was playing really well. Mixon had 7 carries for 34 yards and also a catch for 8 yards. Bernard, 13 for 77, almost 6 yards per carry. Also had 2 catches for 19 yards. So both running backs played well, and they were able to run the ball. The Steelers kind of clamped down a little bit at the end, but I thought that the Bengals just got themselves in terrible positions where they were behind the sticks because of penalties, whether it was interference, face mask, holding. Something was happening on every ending Bengals drive where they weren't able to get in good situations for their offense to convert, and therefore they couldn't run the ball.
They also were dealing with really tough field position for most of the night, too. Yeah.
Receiving, AJ Green, 7 for 77, 2 touchdowns, should have had 3 touchdowns. Was targeted 16 times because they have no one else. Brandon LaFell, 4 catches, 55 yards on 7 targets, had a couple of plays, but also had a couple of drops. Tyler Kroft, 2 catches, 30 yards. And for the Steelers, Le'Veon Bell, 18 carries, 76 yards. Not his greatest game on the ground, had a couple of nice runs. But receiving-wise was a lot better. Had that 35-yard touchdown where he walked into the end zone because no one wanted to tackle him. Also had some big conversions at the end of the game to move the sticks and actually led the way receiving-wise. Antonio Brown, 8 catches, 101 yards, and a touchdown on 15 targets, 1 shy of AJ Green. So definitely, they had William Jackson and Dre Kirkpatrick on him at certain points, like they switched. But yeah, he played a good game. He definitely wasn't as dominant as he was last week, but still had a great game and came up with that really clutch catch at the end where he got killed. So definitely a nice, tough catch in the end zone. And Martavis Bryant showed a little bit, 4 catches, 40 yards, had all his catches or all his kind of attempts. There was a couple down the field that didn't necessarily connect. Juju was very quiet, 4 catches for 17 yards besides the blocks. And that's really it for the leaders on offense. What do you guys think about those players?
For Ben, started off very cold, especially with that interception, but went in and made plays. And here's the thing. If he didn't have Antonio Brown, who is probably number 1 or number 2 in the receiver gang, I don't know how successful this man would be. But pretty effectively. He is, 5 catches, 6 targets. Him and Bell combined for 207 of those 290 passing yards. Just those 2 guys alone. The rest of them, Martavis Bryant had a decent game. Schuster pretty much did nothing. Jesse James had 1 catch. Nobody else was really that effective. So the killer bees. That's all it is. Le'Veon Bell had a nice run game and a nice catching game for himself. He shows me why he's the best running back in the league, even though I have Ezekiel Elliott. I would put him at number 2. Bell is just a great runner, very, very patient. Obviously, he has one of the longest times from getting to that point through his offensive line. It's like 3.1 seconds, by far the longest in the league. He's just very good at what he does. You got Brown, who's incredible, and picked up in the second half and made some clutch plays, especially those last 2 drives. I'll give him that. For Andy Dalton, he didn't play a terrible game. I just think it kind of came down to some unfortunate situations. The penalties were a killer, and you can't really put that on the stat line in terms of how good some of these guys were. But it definitely stifled some of their drives. You're put down in 2nd and 23 situations on your own 8. You're not really gonna make it. I don't think. I'm gonna bet my money you're probably not gonna make it. So that sucks in those situations. But Dalton did not play a bad game. He did well, especially in the first half. Was decent. It got its fair share of good runs and such, but it wasn't extraordinary. It wasn't like the Mixon game that he had last week. For offense, I thought Kroft was going to have a bigger game, but he didn't. is kind of sticky because you don't know exactly how good Croft is, and Eifert's hurt every 5 seconds, so I don't know about that situation. But then in the receiver game, you've got one guy. You got A.J. Green, and that's about it. Brandon LaFell is your second receiver. Don't know how I feel about that, but A.J. Green. Could have had that third touchdown. Should have been the third touchdown, but we're going to let that slide. He's still a very talented receiver and gets the job done. So those are the big players.
Yeah, Ben was off in the first half. Ben got it together in the second half. Did another 2-minute drill, got it done again. I guess, he's going to be –
Where would we rank Big Ben in terms of quarterbacks? Because I don't – he's kind of – is he –
of all time?
No, I mean like right now. Is he on the kind of back end of the top 10?
I would say so. I'd say 9 or so. I'd have to look at it again, but
Kevel?
Yeah, I guess you got it. You could put him at 10 in there. He's the AFC's version of Cam Newton, I think. It's like – because I just feel he's inconsistent.
I feel like Cam Newton has a lot less to work with, though. I watched that game tape, bro.
Fam. You cannot say he doesn't have less than like Cam Newton has way less.
Brenton Burson, bro. You even know who that is, Kevel?
Burson is a cheat man's Cole Beasley, who is a cheat man's everything. So I don't know
he's
how
a cheat man
works.
this, a cheat man that.
All love to Cole Beasley though. I'm just saying.
I guess right now you got to put him in the top 10. I guess, and I had him in the top 10 before. Like he wins, and he gets the job done, and
Blake Bortles. He wins. He gets the job done. Does that make him a top 10 quarterback?
The job done. I mean,
no.
Right now, I would argue that Ben is probably in the bottom half of the top 10.
I thought you were going to say something.
But I still, this is the thing. I don't know when it's playoff time. I know this is going to sound ridiculous. I don't know if Ben can beat a team. I think when teams are going to be able to focus on a game plan for Brown and a game plan for Bell. But not a lot of the game plans are going to work. Those are two very talented
playoffs can do it though.
Yeah.
Who?
Specifically the Jaguars.
The Jaguars can do it, but I don't think.
And I would say the Patriots can do it. I have the confidence the Patriots can.
I think those two can, but I don't know if some of these other teams. I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl.
Can he go gun for gun with Rivers?
I think that would be a very interesting game.
That would be a very interesting game.
The likeliness of that happening is very low, though, depending on the seed.
Mm-hmm.
If the Chargers, because the Steelers, if they get the second seed or the first seed, whatever. Okay, if they get the first seed, then the Chargers will probably play them. But if they get the second seed, that's probably not going to happen.
Because then the Chargers would be the 4th seed, and you would have to have the 5th or 6th seed win a game. So,
yeah. If it's the Titans, I wouldn't count on it. Maybe the Ravens. The Ravens could win a playoff game just because they're the Ravens. They might win 6-3, but they might win.
Defense.
Old guys. For Dalton, I think he's a pretty solid quarterback. I think in a number of other situations where his team is a bit more disciplined.
I think we'd be loving Andy Dalton on the Jaguars right now.
Yep.
TCU
I think the Giants would love to have Andy Dalton right now.
Yep.
I think there's a lot of teams that would like to have Andy Dalton right now. I think if you're using him as a trade chip, that's an interesting little thing. I think he can help a team.
How long is this contract? Do we know?
I'll Google it as we're checking here.
Okay, I'll go over some of the defensive guys, and I'll just we'll get to some of the comments, and then we'll kind of bounce around in the conversation. For the Steelers, Vince Williams had 9 total tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, 2 quarterback hits. Came in freaking right away on that sack, just free, and killed the quarterback. Now has 7 sacks on the season. Cody Sensabaugh, I thought, had a poor game in terms of coverage. He was getting owned a lot of the night. He had 7 tackles and 1 pass deflection. Sean Davis, who I like, is a pretty decent player, 7 tackles. Tyler, I think it's Medikovic. I don't know what his name is. He's that special teams looking linebacker, number 44. Injury. I don't know if he came back, but yeah, that's an issue. Okay, the Steelers without Shazier it's an issue because they now have to move TJ Watt inside, which is not a good position for him. They have to move him around. They have to put that guy on the field. And then James Harrison didn't even play in this game. I don't know what it is with them, but they're not playing James Harrison. It's not like he's hurt. Maybe they feel he's lost a step, but maybe they grab him and put him on the edge now and move TJ Watt to the inside. That's not a good look, specifically against good passing teams. Like if you do have to play Chargers or Patriots or those teams in the playoffs, it's going to be tough for them because those guys are very responsible in their scheme to play a lot of coverage. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do there if Shazier is indeed out for a long term. Bud Dupree had a big sack in the game. Anything else really? Didn't notice Cameron Hayward. TJ Watt noticed him a couple times, specifically on that holding call. And for the Bengals, Kirkpatrick had a couple of nice plays, but also had a couple of negative plays. Takaris Dennard had an okay game. Vontaze Burfict had a pretty good game overall. Ioka was the guy with the dirty hit in the end zone, which it wasn't like he intended to do that. It was a high hit, definitely should be called, but he's flying through the air trying to make it an incomplete pass, so I don't really blame him for it. William Jackson, 2 pass deflections. He's been their best corner, and he's actually a rookie. So big props to him. Carlos Dunlap had a sack in this game, pass deflection, 2 quarterback hits, still doing his thing. And where is he? Geno Atkins, 4 tackles, had a couple of plays, but it was interesting to see he was on the sidelines in the last drive of the game when the Steelers went down to win the game. The Steelers were playing hurry-up offense, and Geno Atkins wasn't on the field. That was a good call for the Steelers because he's their best player on defense. So those are the stats.
I hated that the passer call on him, though. By the way, that was one of the. That was
it was iffy.
That was pretty iffy.
Pretty much this whole game.
Kev, what's the contract?
Oh, I can tell you the contract right now. I don't know if
2021.
2018.
Okay.
So there you go.
All right.
There's a little.
Let's get to the comments, Dilly.
The comments. We had a lot of them. But by the way, I want to say that the defense was an interesting game today. But it's gonna suck without Shazier as a linebacker. They're gonna struggle.
Yeah, I thought they were okay today. In the second half, in the first half they were getting dominated. Second half, I felt like it was more of just the Bengals killing themselves and the offense for the Steelers getting it going, so they weren't on the field a lot. So, obviously they made a couple of stops at the end, but then again, the Bengals put themselves in 3rd and 20s every time. So it's kind of easy to stop the offense when that happens.
And even then, Bernard got 15 yards on that play. And Cody Sensabaugh, trash. All right, comment section. By the way, I just want to put that up there. A lot of comments about the hits. Well, I knew that was going to happen. Rob says, how many suspensions will come from this game?
I think just 1.
Schuster probably, and I don't see any.
I think Ioka will get fined.
Fine,
We're going to get at least 3 fines, is what I'll think here. It's hard hitting. Okay, I understand the safety, but it's not a quote-unquote pussy game. I don't agree with that whatsoever, but okay.
A couple of those things were. Yeah, I understand what you mean. I'm usually on that side of things, but it's a rule. So if it's a rule, you got to obey by the rules.
It's not like somebody pushed them on the sidelines and then they're ooh, the Schuster hit, the Ioka hit. I mean, I don't know, man. Bottom Line View NHL says subscribe to our Bottom Line View NHL channel. Yes, guys, subscribe to the NHL channel. They're getting it going fast. Recaps, everything you want on there. Everybody's on there. It's good.
Approaching 100 subs. approaching 100 subs.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah,
baby.
you guys need to help them out more. We had a lot of NHL fans. Where are they all hiding?
Where they all at,
Go
bro?
subscribe.
We need them going over there. Everybody's gonna be over there. Let's see. Fact or fiction? Juju Smith will get a multi-game suspension.
Fiction.
No, one game.
No,
I think he'll get one game. He'll get one game. If it wasn't
Which
as
is a
bad
big
as
game. Big game.
It's a big game. It is a big game. I still got that stat. I'll put up whenever we do picks. I got to talk about that later. Rob says there's zero tolerance in the. I don't know. He said NHL, but I'm gonna say NFL for these type of hits.
I think he does mean NHL because there is zero tolerance for them.
So that's a more contact sport, obviously. So I mean,
no.
Well,
NFL has more hits.
Yeah,
but when an NHL hit is dirty, it's really bad.
Really dirty.
It's really bad.
Like even I'll see it. Redman says the only wildcard team I can see upsetting Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh is Baltimore.
I think the Chargers could do it.
I think the Jags could do it.
I think the Jags.
The Jags would be a division winner, though. Would that? I guess that would be a wild card team.
No, they could go as a wild card too. It depends who's.
Okay, I think the Jags could do it definitely. I think the Jags would be on the top of the list.
I think the Chargers match up very well against them, especially that receiving core and rushing the passer.
And no one seems to be able to stop my boy Keenan Allen right now.
Who no one said was bad whatsoever. Just putting that out there. Rob says percentage chance Andy Dalton is traded in the offseason.
60.
60? Holy
I think McCarron
shit.
will be traded. How about that?
That Browns situation?
Yeah, maybe McCarron
I thought he
ends
was
up
going
in
to be
Cleveland.
traded.
Yeah. Well, you have to send in the paperwork, remember?
Yeah.
By the way, Jimmy G, want to know.
Hey, I was the only one that predicted though. Let's go. 14-2.
Yeah, I wanted to, but I'm shocked that the 49ers won that 15-14. Oh, I guess I'm not really that shocked. What was I going to say? Who said it? I forgot who said it. Someone said, Michael Lombardi said that he is better than Kirk Cousins.
I
think he means he's going to be better.
Okay, that's different. Because right now, I think
he's I think the 49ers have their quarterback. And he really knows him. He's kind of biased towards that because he was working for the Patriots and he drafted Garoppolo and stuff. But he knows him pretty well and he feels like the 49ers have found their quarterback now.
We'll see. I think he's definitely a good quarterback. I have all the trust in the world for him to do well because considering I like him and Shanahan as a collective unit, but I'm not going to compare him to Kirk Cousins. And you could tell how much
more open that offense was, even if you didn't watch the game, just looking at the stats.
Hey, 14-2 this week, guys. That's the game I needed right there. Let's see here. A couple more. A lot more stuff about the comments. Predator says Bengals were penalized 173 yards, which is about a full field and 3/4 of another field.
Nuts.
That's insane. Add up the other yardages for.
So that's the question: did the Bengals lose or did the Steelers win?
Did have a nice 2 drives, but I think it goes down to both because the Bengals kind of.
Oh, come on! If it was one or the other,
no,
we did this for the Super Bowl.
But look, that was different. But the Steelers had 2 impressive drives. I gave them the credit for what they did there, but the Bengals also kind of fell on themselves, and the penalties were just a fucking killer. So I don't know who you really blame for, but I think Marvin's gonna get fired by the end of the year for this.
I'll chalk it up to this. The refs wanted both the Steelers and Patriots to be 11-2 going into that week, so the refs gave it to them. How about that?
Conspiracy theory.
T. Clark, fact or fiction? My dad's into those conspiracy theories. Marvin Lewis to coach the Giants next season.
Josh McDaniels.
He's not leaving.
I think Marvin will retire.
He ain't leaving. Marvin will retire.
Yeah,
I think that's
the Giants. Well, they got to figure out their.
Even though I think he will be asked to come back though. I think a lot of teams would be open to having him as their coach.
In terms of the Giants, I got to wait to see who they hire as GM before I can say who's going to be the coach, because they also fired him too. So
some hire coaches before GM. Some hire coaches before GMs though too, right? So
yeah, but I think the Giants really need to realize that they have to have their GM position before they get their head coach position.
Yeah, but I think part of that might be they might want to get like the Kyle Shanahan situation where they might want to get the head coach and choose his guy. You know what I mean?
But maybe like what if the situation becomes
who they get? Like,
what if the GM doesn't be coming in?
If they got McDaniels, for example, then McDaniels would probably want someone within the Patriots organization.
Mm-hmm. If the head coach has influence to pick his GM, I understand it. But I think maybe the more safer route is because you want the GM. You don't want tension between your GM and your coach.
Also, with the Giants situation for the coach, Odell Beckham might have some influence in that because of the whole situation and because of the contract situation and because of the owner saying that they want to pay him and all that stuff. So first, the Giants need to they shouldn't have Odell Beckham influence who the coach is because they had Eli influence who the last coach was. And how did that work out? So.
Well, yeah, no player should be doing that. I've seen fucking LeBron do this for 7 seasons, but that's just, it doesn't work often. David Blatt, if you will. Let's see here. Where are you guys from? Says RVD ECW. That's a great
What's
name.
up, RVD?
Vancouver.
One of a kind.
One of a kind. There you go. Texas. Those are the answers. I can't give you my street code, my zip code. Can't give you that.
I'm in Toronto right now, but I'm from Vancouver. And Dilly is from Texas.
Tejas. It was weird. Sports Fury, we filmed like 30 minutes away from each other. That's weird. I got to get to another good comment. Bodo says AFC North is big boy football. How you feel about that one?
Yeah, big boy football with the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's
the Bengals.
Concussion City.
And a mediocre, probably one of the worst playoff teams I've ever seen. Ravens.
Just awful. Oh, okay. I was like, the Steelers.
Yeah, the ECW is exactly right. Crappy talent.
Chair shot to the head. Oh, my goodness. Extremely crappy football. We'll change it to that one. ECW was great, but God, I can't watch those head chair shots. We got Brett Hundley in the chat. He's no, it's disgusting. He's all into his discussion. He says, fact or fiction, Rodgers is better than me.
I would have to go with fact there, Brett. I'm sorry, bro. You're playing well, though. Good job.
They're playing well. Redman says,
out.
Nope. They might make it.
They're not making it.
I went through the playoff machine.
Oh, you still pick them. There's no changes. Like I went through that.
If they win every game.
Yeah, they got to win every game. They got to play.
But the thing is, they only have one more game without Rodgers, and it's against the Browns.
Yeah, but they got to play the Panthers and the Vikings. I don't think they can win both those games.
They can with Aaron Rodgers.
I don't think they can, even with Mr. Aaron.
I think they for sure can beat the Panthers.
I think they can. I would just never say never.
I still got my predictions.
I want to throw a scenario out for you.
Never say never.
While we're talking about the NFC, I want to throw a scenario out.
Go away. You just quoted Justin Bieber before he was good.
Go ahead.
Okay.
He's always good, damn it. Kev.
Okay. I know that AC is not panicking about the Eagles, but
AC
the Rams run the table.
Facade. He puts up this invisible Harry Potter cloak.
See,
and
he is smart though, because he doesn't get in these arguments.
He comes on here, and his team is the best in the league. Blah blah, right? He comes on here. They get their butts whooped by the Seahawks. Comes on here and says, I want us to lose because I want to be the underdog. Who in the hell says that?
He wants to get away from the tension.
If we lose in the playoffs, it's okay because we already won. What type of answer is that? You could be the Raiders. You could be the Cowboys of this year.
No.
You could fall off. You don't know that you're going to be better than this in the future.
Kev, are you in the
now.
rafters of ECW? Where are you at, bro? I hear all the noise. I hear all the.
I was talking there. Sorry. But if the Rams run the table, which includes beating the Eagles next week, they could be they could get up 2 seed.
If the what?
I'm just saying.
If the Rams
beat the Eagles and run the table,
I know.
They get the number 2 seed.
I know. That's why I'm saying this is the biggest game of the Eagles season this week.
Redman says, "Is Joe Hayden done for the year?"
I don't know, but it doesn't look good. And to whoever said he's a top 5 corner, they're on some crack.
Who's said they're on crack? Our RVDCW says probably
maybe like
somebody
5 years ago.
Not
Go ahead.
now. Like, come on. I mean, he's
like
better than Cody
Darrell
Sensabaugh.
Reeves is a top 500 corner. Have you seen him play lately? Jesus.
Well, he's only played that one game, but that defense is atrocious. Who has more talent on offense, Cincinnati or Dallas?
Okay, so I was thinking about this question. Cincinnati with Eifert has more talent, but Dallas without, considering the lineups right now without Zeke, Dallas has more talent because they have a better offensive line. If we're talking about like external from the quarterback, I think that like with the full lineup,
give it a full 11-on-11 with everybody healthy.
It's close, but I think the Cowboys have it because of Zeke.
I would agree.
And I think if the Bengals had a second receiver, they would have it, but they don't. So that's the way it is.
I thought Mr. Kev was going to disagree. We would have had some problems. Training Solution says Cam Newton is very overrated, I think. I know Mitch will have a up and up about that one.
He was last year. He was ranked number 2.
He was very bad last year. Very, very bad last year. But
this year, I think he's been really good for the most part. I think I watched that game. They moved the ball, man. They could have won that game. Their punter freaking dropped the ball for some reason. And then their defense couldn't stop the running game. And, he's throwing a Brent Burson. I mean, what do you want? What do you want from this guy? He has Jonathan $100 million who runs a 4.9 40 as his running back. He has a bad offensive line. He has one receiver. I mean, he doesn't have Greg Olsen. What do you want from this guy?
I watched that whole game yesterday. Some of it was yikes. Not on him though. He got frustrated. He clearly got frustrated. He's like, what do I do with Jamoke 1 and Jamoke 2? I got McCaffrey. That's all I got. Fucking white dude over here.
Who's not even as good as Alvin Kamara, by the way, who got drafted like 2 rounds after him.
He's good, but yeah, no one expected Kamara. I mean, let's be honest.
I thought Kamara was going to be good. I didn't think he was going to be this good.
I didn't think he would be offensive rookie of the year and breaking records and shit. Like, Jesus Christ. You could put him up there in the top 7 of MVP discussion. Do you think the Vikings will keep Case going forward or trade him? Considering they're 10-2, 10-2, I would not trade him whatsoever. Why would you?
You should definitely finish this season, depending on how they do in the playoffs. They gotta take a look and they gotta see, okay, what's our situation with Teddy Bridgewater? What's our situation with Case? In my personal opinion, I think they should stay with Case because I think Case has played better now than Teddy Bridgewater or Sam Bradford have ever played for the Vikings. So
I agree, but I think that there's going to be a lot of teams inquiring about Case more than Teddy Bridgewater. I'll say that.
It just depends. It depends. I mean, it's always like who's done most for me lately. So they might be trading Bridgewater. You never know. But I think
if they're one and done, it's a different question now, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, watching that team, it would be shocking if they were one and done because they have beat every good team they have played, basically.
They've gone out there and proved those tests. Because I was saying a couple weeks ago,
especially in the NFC. I mean, I think they lost to the Steelers early in the year.
They lost to the Steelers when Bradford was the quarterback and Case was just getting into the system. So
and they lost to who else?
I gotta look at their schedule. See what the other
the Lions.
Yeah, the Lions in week 3.
I'll say this: I would match the Seahawks with the Vikings. I think that would be a very good game.
I think that would be
good yesterday. You're lucky they played good yesterday because I would have ranted on you. But yesterday,
I think that would be one of the worst matchups for the Seahawks out of all the games.
I disagree. I think the
Seahawks are more likely to beat the Eagles again than beating the Vikings because of the Vikings defense.
Oh, it will be a low-scoring game.
The Vikings defense on the Seahawks O-line is going to be St. Valentine's Day massacre.
And I will say this: I will defend Kevin and say that I think the Seahawks O-line's been a little bit better, but not that much.
He was getting pressured yesterday against a good defensive line. Now you got to play against the Saints too, or the Vikings too. I don't know. I don't think that's a good matchup.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you can keep it.
And this is on the road, right, Kev?
Yeah. I think the highest to Seattle I could see is 3 right now. I think if they get to 2, it's a miracle.
No, you ain't getting to 2. I'm sorry, you ain't getting to 2.
How would they even? How's that even possible?
They got to run. They got to run the table.
It's not possible. Every team would have to lose their next 4 games in the in the tops of the.
Well, no, okay, but so if the Rams win, Seahawks win next week, and the Seahawks beat the Rams, and they run the table, the 12-4 goes to the Seahawks. If the Eagles stumble one more time, then the Seahawks and the Rams are technically ahead of the Eagles.
Well, 2 more times. They would be 10 and 2.
If the Saints lose, I think 1 more game. If they lose 2 more games, there's a lot of scenarios that have to happen for them to get to 2. But I think that they have a better chance at 3 than 2 for sure.
I still think they'll get the 5 seed, but that's just me.
I don't even know if they're gonna make the playoffs. Still not sold.
Woo! I don't know. You never know.
They're not in right now.
I think the Falcons are. Yes, they are. They're the 5 seed.
They are the 5 seed in the playoffs right now.
They are. They lost to the Falcons.
Yeah, but the Falcons have 1 less win.
Yeah, they have 1. They're 7-5 now.
What about the Panthers?
Panthers are 6 seed.
Yeah, I think the Falcons are done.
Who are we talking about?
The Seahawks.
The Seahawks aren't in the playoffs.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, they're the 5 seed. They're the 5 seed.
Oh, they're in 4. That's right.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah, they're the 5 seed. Cowboys
I think the Falcons are done.
Yeah, the Falcons need to win this Thursday.
They got to win.
No,
I don't think
the team that I would be aware of for your spot, Kev, is you need to win, of course, but the Packers.
The Packers.
Yes.
Because I think the Lions are done too. So you don't have to worry about them.
I looked at their schedule.
And the Cowboys could make a run if they win. Who they play this? They play the Giants. They need to. If they beat you guys in that game, then there's a serious shot. But they have to beat you guys in that game.
Yeah.
Because they get Zeke back in that game. So there's a chance.
No, hold on. I'm going to tell you this right now. Cowboys win the next 2 games, and they come to that game, that is going to be the biggest game of the year for us. I will go smack dab, slap-a-dab-a-ding dong on Kevin. Like that's just.
Oh, don't you worry. I'll be slap-a-dab-a-ding dong.
It will be because me and AC have this thing, and then you put yourself up to the side standing, and then if we get to that game where you think the Seahawks have every position better than the Cowboys, well, it's gonna be over.
And I'll be sitting here just be like, first seed.
All right. I know it won't even matter, but it'll be nice. It'll be nice moral victory for me. Bobby Atari says, "Will the Lions make the playoffs?"
No, I just answered that, but no.
No.
Sorry,
man. Jim Caldwell needs to go too. Sorry.
And they need more talent on their team.
Yeah.
A lot more. They need a running back that can actually get a more than 100 yards, or actually 100 yards in a rushing game.
Or a yard. Just a yard.
Hasn't had in 4 years. 4 years. How's that even physically possible? God, I think Eddie Lacy's had a 100-yard game in that.
Well, the Browns haven't won in like 2 years on a Sunday, so.
Can we stop Jim Bob Cooter being on a great offensive mind? Can we stop that conversation now?
When your name's Jim Bob Cooter, I don't ever expect you to have a great offensive mind. The Browns now have the worst streak.
Something doesn't add up, Kev. Stick to politics. What is he talking about?
Wait, who said that?
It's Casey.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure what he was talking about there.
Oh,
he said, okay.
Just in general.
I just think that I'm not saying the Seahawks are getting in the top 2 seeds. I said I'm putting this
Okay,
scenario
that's
together.
what he was talking about.
Yeah. If the Rams beat the Eagles, the Seahawks beat the Jaguars and the Rams, they're basically tied if they all run the table. The Seahawks can get the 3.
I'm precursing that. I'm picking the Jaguars this week.
Oh, okay. I'm not.
I already put in my pick for the Jags too. So
yeah, so that's great.
Black holes exist, but I don't think they're coming anytime soon. Just like I don't think the Seahawks are going to be the second seed. That's just it's a possibility.
No. I said there's a better chance for third than second.
AC said you said the Rams would run the table and the Seahawks would run the table.
No. I said I said if the Rams.
AC, again, get on here.
I'll say this again. If the Rams beat the Eagles and run the table, they get 13-3. The Eagles are 13-3, and the Rams would get the top 2 seeds.
Yeah, that's right.
And if the Seahawks beat the Jaguars and the Rams beat the Eagles and the Seahawks beat the Rams,
the Seahawks play the Rams. Yeah.
Yes. Then
okay, I know what you're saying, but it's very unlikely.
12. There's a few. Yeah, I'm putting a lot of ifs. It's my big point is the Eagles-Rams game is a big game. It's a bigger game than I think AC's letting on. I would suggest.
Moto, can we talk for a second?
Because if you're the Eagles, you can't go to. If you're the Eagles, you go to the 3rd seed. I don't know. And you lose two games in a row against playoff teams.
That's what I said. They need to win this game.
We'll see.
My opinion.
Bodo, let's talk, buddy. I think you're way into these conspiracy theories about how the Patriots are just sabotagers and all these mastermind little plans and Scrooge.
I get a tweet every day about this.
You want to hear this
every day?
Let's hear this one. This is a new one. Like the NFL gives the Patriots easy schedule every year, plus sabotages the other teams in the AFC East, so the Patriots can remain on top. Richest talk, total conspiracy theories. Okay, here's the problem. Facts to support that. The Patriots are a good football team, whether you like it or not, and you can tell, the referees are colluding together to make this team a good football team. But we definitely know Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time. Rob Gronkowski's a phenomenal tight end if you look at it on the field. There's great talent all around with good receiving. They got the greatest coach of all time. These conspiracy theories are dumb. A conspiracy theory have something of substance to back it up with. It might not be correct, but at least you'll have an argument. There is no argument about this. It's dumb. And Predator agrees. Sabotage schedules. LMAO. Train Solutions says,
Rich coming from a team. Sorry, I got to say this. It's Rich coming from a team that I think won this game partially because the refs favored them tonight. If you're a Bengals fan, you're probably saying,
"Okay, can I give you just a few stats here?"
Go ahead.
Okay, the Patriots. Oh no, wait. I'm trying to find the better one. Let me find it, and then I'll get back to you.
Okay. Training Solution says, "How do you guys meet each other?" That's a long discussion, but we'll put that in a. We need to do another Q&A soon. We need to do another Q&A. Excuse me. YouTube is the short answer, but it was a couple of years ago. Fact or fiction? Browns go 0-16. Honestly, fact. I haven't seen anything.
I think it's possible they're going. I think it's possible they're going 0-16 for the entire decade. The next 2 seasons.
Let's
true.
not go that far. Well, it's the Browns. You could put that out there, but they got to get one win. Is the RVDECW says, is the quality of good AFC teams the worst you have ever seen? It's a hard question.
No,
I think so.
I actually would.
Let's see.
Those 80. No, the 80s
okay, no,
AFC,
I've ever
the
seen.
80s AFC was worse than this.
Okay, yeah, that's true. The 80s and early 90s AFC was worse.
Was worse.
But this year is the worst I've ever personally seen. I was born in 1996. I was a fan since like 2000. I've never seen a worse AFC in my life.
I was born in '99, so it's the worst I've seen. I've only
Because the
been watching
AFC has
football
been the powerhouse for about 20 years. So
it is become the Eastern Conference of the NFL this year. Well, the Eastern Conference last couple years was fucking trash. Let's see here. Gotta see some comments.
okay,
Oh, you got them. Okay, go ahead.
I got some of the stats. All right.
Some.
Tom Brady's winning percentage versus, let's just take one division here. The NFC East,
The whole division.
82%. Or the NFC East, 82%. Versus the AFC East, it's 79%. How about that?
Wait, you're comparing winning percentages between divisions?
Tom Brady's record versus certain divisions. His lowest percentage versus any opponent versus any division is the AFC East. He loses the most games to his division.
That's weird. That has to come to Jets games because he's only lost to the Bills.
Jets, Dolphins. It's mostly the Jets and the Dolphins. The Bills they've only lost to a couple of times, but they've dominated the AFC North. They've dominated the AFC West. They've dominated every division in the entire league, basically. They never, except for the AFC East is where they get their most losses. They only typically lose 2 to 4 games a year. And usually at least one of those is an AFC East game. This year, it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case, but hey, you never know on Monday. Or the Jets. Jets could get us.
Mark Sanchez won a divisional game against the Patriots.
Yeah, Mark Sanchez.
Mark was good.
Mark Sanchez.
I feel like that's what Bodo's argument is. Well, Mark Sanchez beat you guys in.
No, I just hear that all the time. Like the Patriots have an easy path to the number 1 seed. They have an easy division, this and that. Well, look up the facts and you know you're wrong. First off, the AFC has been the better conference since 1997. And they have had to play the better teams. They've had to play Peyton's, Colts, and Broncos. They've had to play the Steelers. They've had to play the Ravens. They've had to play all these teams. The Chargers. They've had to play these teams. And the NFC has kind of been like, there's been the Seahawks for a couple of years. And who's really been consistent in the NFC?
Nobody
really. It's just fun, a bunch of random teams.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've watched the NFC all my life. So it's fun, but there's no sustainability.
The Seahawks have been in the division around 5 straight seasons.
Yeah,
so
they're building something. I don't know if they'll get there this year.
Wait, they didn't make the divisional round last year.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, they did. They beat the Lions.
They beat the Lions.
The wild card. They got their ass kicked in the divisional round, but
yeah, that's right.
Nonetheless, they made it.
Russell Wilson stepped on his own lineman for a safety.
But they have lost. They've gone one win and then done.
Yeah. There you go.
Last
there's AC's comments. I was waiting for them. I hadn't seen that. Sick politics. Fact or fiction, Titans missed the playoffs? Absolutely can't. They have to lose all 4. Somebody has to.
Yeah, fiction. I think the Titans are in. Yeah.
It's not that they're a great team. It's just because they're division.
The Titans are in. They have a terrible schedule too.
Who do they have?
I don't. It's just terrible. I've looked at it many times.
You looked at it. Rob says we should do UFC next year. We'll discuss options of whether or not to open up other avenues of sports later on. We did do some UFC back in the day. I remember that.
We would have to open up a new
I'm not
channel.
missing wrestling. I'm just saying that.
No, we're not doing. We're not. No, I'm watching one segment. That's it. I
would like to shout out. He's probably not watching this right now, but WWE Boy was hitting me up on the Twitter. So shout out to WWE Boy
on the Twitter, the Twitter machine. Let's see here. Josh Gordon or Jermaine Kearse? I don't know
Josh
if you
Gordon by
fantasy. Far. Well, does he mean fantasy or does he mean right now? Gordon's a better receiver.
Player.
Well, Gordon's a better player, but Kearse did help me in fantasy this week, so thank you, buddy.
Josh Gordon, the Flash.
The
only player other than Odell Beckham to have 85-plus yards versus the San Diego LA Chargers.
And that guy's been out of the league for 3 fucking years. Like, that's insane. I did pick him up in fantasy. He was on my bench this week because I just didn't know. But we'll see. He might be a flex option.
I wonder where he's going to go next year. I don't think it's going to be Cleveland.
Nah, he'll be gone.
I'm telling you, the Cowboys need to pick him up.
Bro, if they got him, oh my god, yes, get in. Calls me a closeted Patriots fan.
That's not true.
That's not true.
He wanted the Gronk's life to be ended today. He was into it.
No, I didn't. I said 1 game suspension. I'm not a Patriot. I mean, I respect what they do, but I'm not a Patriots fan. Does that make sense?
Okay, let's speed through this.
We're almost done. We got like a couple more comments. Training Solutions asked how old is Kev? Kev, you want to give that out or no?
No. I don't know if I know this answer.
No, I'm not. No.
No.
You're like Tommy Wiseau.
I don't.
Oh, hi, Mark. God, I can't wait to see that movie this week. That'll be great.
It was great. Nobody knows how old he is. Nobody knows where he's from, and nobody knows where he gets his money.
Philippines? Is he?
He says he's from New Orleans. New Orleans. He's from New Orleans.
I've never heard that accent from Nola. I'll tell you that. I lived in Texas, so people come over here all the time. I've never heard that accent before. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate the mature 18 comment. Sometimes. I try to be professional on the channel. I'll give you that much. Fact or fiction, Eric Ebron is crap.
Eric Ebron is a bust, but he's not. He's very terrible. He's not good though.
Where is he on the scale? Is he Charles Barkley terrible, or is he like?
He's like the 18th best tight end in the league.
That's fair. Middle of the road.
Wow, that's hard. I mean, if you're 18th best in tight end position, you're pretty low. That's pretty low. And last question from T. Clark. Fact or fiction, Josh Gordon traded to the Rams or Patriots?
More likely the Patriots, but I don't think he's going to go to either of those teams.
How many receivers?
I'd love him to go to the Patriots. Obviously, I'd love him to go to the Patriots. That would be ridiculous. Like, I don't know how anyone, like, if they're gonna have Josh Gordon, Brandon Cooks, Julian Edelman, and Rob Gronkowski, like, how is that even?
Amendola, like, there's too many people.
Okay, that's like not gonna happen. But the one place I want him to go if he doesn't go to the Patriots is the Bears.
Ooh, that would be a good idea.
Or the 49ers.
I could see the 49ers in there. I could see the Seahawks making an inquiry for sure.
Interesting.
Cowboys.
I think the Seahawks would be good for him though.
Yeah, I do too.
I just want to see him go to a place where he can succeed because I'm a fan.
Bobby brings up the point. He could go to the Lions. How do you think about the Lions as a receiver?
It could happen, and I would like it to happen. But I don't know. It's just that, like, the Lions aren't a team that does that sort of thing. But
yeah, that leads to, I guess, to the point though. This is also going to be an interesting factor. Is what is Calvin Johnson coming back? I'm not saying that he is, but there was talk about that. But
AC says, Kev, I'll bet you $100 that the Eagles beat the Rams. How confident are you, bro?
He's not confident.
I'm not. I said if. I said if.
Are you gonna bet on it though? Is that
no? I'm not. I said if. I'm not betting. I don't have any money to bet. So
but I feel like you always like throw out these questions, these hypotheticals about the Eagles. If they lose here, what does this mean about the team? Become a running joke on this channel.
Okay, wait a minute. Last night I was like, it's I said the Eagles. I have said several times, even after last night, that the Eagles are still a favorite for the NFC. They're still the number one team in my mind.
AC, in the NFC. AC said enough said. I don't know, bro. You kind of come out here throwing the pot shots at the Eagles. I mean, not last night, but
no. I'm saying that the Eagles need to win. I don't know what I'm saying. That's so horrible. The Eagles need to beat the Rams if they want a top 2 seed. If the Rams run the table, they get.
You said multiple things about the Eagles this season. I think we can all agree on that.
You have.
What have I
Let's
said about
wait
the Eagles?
until they lose.
If they lose to the 49ers, what does that do to them? What does that do?
But I will say, the Eagles are. I mean, I really thought that they needed to have a big win against the Seahawks. So if they need to bounce back in this game because they can't go 2 straight losses to 2 teams that are likely going to be in the playoffs. Because then we're talking about as the Eagles team that really hasn't proven to beat good teams. And then you start to worry about how they're going to get it done in the playoffs. Even depending on even if they finish the season with 3 straight wins, there's still that question of, and there's question in their confidence. I mean, can they beat good teams? So
do the Rams become Super Bowl
contenders? If they beat the Rams, there's no issue because they just lost the Seahawks in Seattle, whatever. But if they lose the Rams, I think there might be a little bit of something there.
If the Rams win, do they become like 3rd on the Super Bowl contenders list? Because they've beaten some pretty good teams this year.
In the NFC or in the league?
In the league. Where do you put them at?
I would have.
I would not put them 3rd. I still will think the Eagles.
I think
I still think the Eagles would be in your top 3, even with a loss.
Even with
Is
the
that
loss?
not a nice thing to say?
No, but even with a loss, you would put them still 3rd?
Yeah.
Where is the game?
That game's in LA.
In LA. Which is basically a home game for the Eagles, but you know.
No, the LA Rams have good attendance.
Actually, they don't because it's in that really big stadium. They're not getting that many people. They're getting more than the Chargers.
They have a lot of fans. I know that.
Yeah, but they don't show up. They get a lot more in the college games for some reason. I mean,
I don't know. That's a tough question. I still tend to think that I'm not like I've never been the biggest believer in the Rams, but they've been definitely proving themselves lately. So I don't know. It all depends on this game. I want to see how this game plays out.
AC says, can the Seahawks win on the road?
No.
They actually have been playing better on the road than home.
They play the Jags on the road, right?
Yes.
Well, they have the exact same record.
That moved to 1. But I think their game has been better on the road than at home.
We'll see. I think the Jags defense is going to stifle whatever the Seahawks give them. But we'll talk about that later. All right, I think that's it.
I'm going to save that that conversation for Wednesday.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in to this Steelers Bengals recap Monday Night Football. Week number 13. We're moving into week number 14, which also means fantasy football playoffs. We'll have you covered with that. We'll have you covered with our game picks on Wednesday night, live. And what else? I do want to say that there is a big project underway here on the Bottom Line View, going to be released on Christmas for you guys. I'll say that I'll give you a hint. It's a historic list. Let me say that. It's a list of players. There you go. And it's going to be out on the 25th of December. And yeah, stay tuned. NFL content every single day.
There you go. Good stuff. I like that. Good content coming. Big list. Everything in between. People like it. Good stuff on the way.
Ferocious Film is pissed he didn't read one of his questions.
Well, we read it now. Good call. We'll get. I just picked what I was scrolling through it. I'm not ignoring you. Sorry, bro. Kev, anywhere? Are you in the rafters? Are you in the Sting rafters right now? I feel like
I was in there. I'm with Sting in the rafters.
Anything to say, Kev? You've been just sitting there in silence.
I think what's I'm just thinking. I think John and I are going to recap the Flames Leafs game on Wednesday, as Calgary. So watch out for that. You can go back and watch some other live stuff that Trent and John went at each other with Toronto, Vancouver. We've bashed the Oilers. We've bashed the Flames. So check out the BLV NHL channel. We've been doing lots there.
Penguins are coming on. All right.
Hey. Yep.
No comment.
Peace out, guys.